Hello, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me in another of my pipe smoking videos. A relaxing time to have a natter with my lovely viewers. Cheers. Cup of coffee going on here. And actually quite hot. Now, first of all, you'll have to excuse me. I am in my scruffs. I have literally come back from Biggleswick Farm, the farm in which I and Julia have been working on the last few months and making videos on the English couple, and I hope you've been able to get a chance to have a glimpse at some of the stuff that we've been doing. Anyway, this is a pipe smoking channel, so let's crack on. Yes, so my apologies for being not in my best thing, but there's a lot going on at the moment, so rushing here, rushing there. So you just have to take me as you see me, I'm afraid, today. Anyway, main thing is I've got my potty. You might say that is a nice potty, and by golly, it is a lovely potty, isn't it? As potties go, I wouldn't mind that under my bed. We went to see a lovely chap the other week, a chap called Graham, and he said, "Here, have a potty." I said, "I've been actually." He said, "No, I'm sure you'll find some use for it." And actually, he gave us a number of things, including a wood-burning stove and all that. I think I mentioned that last time, didn't I? Because I showed you a picture of it. It's not yet installed. It will be very soon, hopefully by the end of next week. But he also gave us this, and I didn't show you it last time. Now, you can hear it's rattling around because inside there is a pipe. Seems to be fairly clean. Probably needs a good routing out and a pipe cleaner shoved down it. Let me just... I happen to have one here, so I'm going to quickly run that down it. It's a small little pipe, and it's lovely because I have it in my pocket. So it's not too bad, actually. I forget what it is now. Alba Cortina. But it's a nice little pocket pipe. You know, it's almost a nose warmer, but not quite, but it's small. Diminutive. I think that's the term, isn't it? Diminutive. It's a lovely term. And I'm just on the last dregs, at least I hope there are some last dregs, of, I can't remember what they're called. Oh yeah, there's just enough in here, look at that. Running low, and it is, I have the box over here, but I don't want to show the label because of the Wilsons of Sharrow Enigma, that's what it is. I ought to put it in one of my ancient tins. I say ancient, look at these old lovely things, look at that, isn't that lovely? Got several of these over I'm sure I've shown you them. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Grand cut, Virginia and other things. I don't know whether they're pipe smoking ones, but they're from the old days, much better than, you know, the ones that are forced to have the old thing on. Anyway, let's get this going. I did like this, and I am going to order some more. Julia liked it, which is, you know, room note. I'm not sure if she's actually smoked any. I must get her back on the channel. We're just running around at the moment, been over to Biggleswick Farm, because one of our lovely viewers very kindly sent us from Caithness in Scotland a whole load of plants, from ash trees, rowan trees, to raspberry canes, to herbs like comfrey and blackberries, all sorts of bits and pieces. And we're away for a couple of days, and they were stuck in the postal service, and I was desperate to get them in the ground. I wasn't planning on going to the land today as I record this, but in the end, where shall I shove this? Back in the potty, of course. In the end, we thought, well, we can't leave them out, so we jumped in the car. It's about an hour or so's drive from where I live, so we went up to Biggleswick Farm, and before the fading sun caught us, because the days are so short, aren't they? Away we went, and we got them in temporary pots, watered them, put them in the polytunnel. We'll sort them out early next week. So they should be all right, fingers crossed. You know, what else can you do? I couldn't leave them. I did think about shoving them in the bath, but I didn't want them to get in too much shock, so they've got the weekend to relax. Now, I've got my tamper that the very nice Chris Harriet from Harriet Pipes gave me, which again is still on the chain, ready to go for the royal flush. So I've got that handy. I'm just going to plonk that over here. well, I ought to plonk it in my pocket, really. Now, you may remember last week I was happily talking to you, chatting away, lighting my pipe with my Zippo, my pipe smoking lighter. I've placed down somewhere and I cannot find it. I have looked high and low. And then after that show, just before I went to bed, I had one more smoke. I couldn't find the Zippo, so I used some matches, which was very nice. The next day, went to have a smoke, couldn't find the Zippo again. And I hunted high and low, and guess what? I still haven't found it a week on. And I survived a couple of days with matches. I like matches, they're all right. And then I thought, I can't cope with this. So in the end, I had to buy another Zippo. This is not a pipe smoking Zippo, it's an ordinary Zippo. But I thought I'll get a nice red one. Look at that, can you see that? Is that in focus? And the reason, I think I'll put my potty down now. The reason for doing that is if I drop it in the grass at Biggleswick Farm, I ought to be able to find it because it's bright red. But I loved that brass one. It had a picture of a tree on it. It was lovely. And it's in the house somewhere. I will find it. And when I find it, I will find it. And when I find it, I will give it a few words. I've even taken the step of asking any mischievous spirits who may have taken it away and hidden it to bring it back, you know. Anyway, I have this one. I like this one. This is very nice. But as I say, it's not a proper pipe lighter, but it works. And I do like this Enigma tobacco. It's very nice. Wilson's of Sharrow. Right. Oh, straight in the eye. And I've only got the one. So, temper. I put it in my pocket. So I need to have neon lights on some of these things. Now then. My hands, they're as grubby as anything. Can you see those? They have been in the ground planting. We love it. I can't tell you. I don't want to bore you too much with Biggleswick Farm. You'll be able to watch all of our antics, of course, on the other channel. My book, Biggleswick, the Town That Wouldn't Comply, by the way, on the other hand. Let me just grab one. Load of boxes full of them. Is that focusing? I've no idea whether these focus or not. Going out, people are still buying them. Make good Christmas presents. If you want one, just email me, richard@vobes.com. I'll send you the blurb and then you can decide. People have had them in New Zealand, in Canada, in Australia, Austria, Switzerland, all over the place. It's quite amazing. And even in Britain. Yeah, even in Britain, which is nice. I know the postage is very expensive and I apologise for that. I can't do anything about that. There are other services I looked into, but the reason I like the Royal Mail, certainly within Britain, is simply that, unlike some of these other delivery companies, they'll put them on the doorstep if you're not in. And if it's raining, that envelope with the book in it is going to get wet, and you don't want a wet book, do you? So I'm sticking with Royal Mail at the moment. I know the Post Office and the Royal Mail have split and all of those things. And it's a little bit more expensive, I appreciate that, but they'll either put it through the door, knock on the door, or they'll try and re-deliver it. They tend not to just leave it on the step. That's my experience. If it's different to you, then let me know. So they do seem to be pretty good. I know they say we can't always guarantee it, but getting there, which is a bit of a worry. But, I was going to light the thing, but it's all right. Now, I wanted to tell you about some books that have come. Not my book. Nope, not plugging that. I've had 3 books, and I've 4, actually. Oh, yeah, no, that's a different one. I spoke about that in my other channel. 3 books. One I bought on on the recommendation of somebody, and I haven't had a look at any of these, so this is all virgin territory. They came, we've just been so busy, you see. So this one is the New York bestseller, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, The Astonishing Power of Positive Feelings. Now, when I was about 18, I was into all this sort of psychic stuff and ESP and motivation and all those sort of books and stuff. And I've had over the years many of them and read them, and you know, Think and Grow Rich, I think, was one. And some of these over recent times have been proved to be just really to make money for those people who've put them out there. You know, it's the old scam, isn't it? You want to get rich, write a book about how to get rich. And in the book, you write a book about how to get rich. And that's how the author gets rich. So I've always been a bit skeptical, but I'm always up for, you know, my skepticism doesn't mean that I won't touch things, certainly. So this says, on the back of this, feelings, the most unconscious part of us, actually create and mould every moment of every day of our lives. They, not positive thinking or sweat and strain or good or bad luck, make our lives what they are. Well, we judge everything by our feelings. If we're in a mood, a bad mood, a good mood, a light mood, our feelings do change us, don't they? So, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting finally clarifies why most of our dreams have never materialised. Why we have lived all too empty bank accounts, tough relationships, failing health, and spiritually unfulfilled lives. Well, not all of that's true with me. I mean, the bank account may be true, but I've certainly had tough relationships, but had rewarding relationships. I wouldn't quite say that my life is unfulfilled. It's fulfilled in many different ways. But maybe I'm the exception to the rule. Most importantly, an easy-to-read style, logical explanation, simple steps, true life examples. Lynn Grabhorn, it's an interesting name, isn't it, for somebody who's writing about positive things, you know, about, you know, think and get rich. Grabhorn, I'm just saying. Shows us how, with no effort other than paying attention to how we feel, to turn it around and make the world our oyster. Now, I mean, there's another book I read some time ago called You Are Not the Target. And very often people get put into a mood because someone says a snide remark, or that, you know, they pass comment or something. We always get that in the comments, you know. Someone will try and, they're not necessarily deliberately doing you down, but you can take offence at what they say, or, you know, you can be upset by it, you can be moved by it, you can be motivated by it. And that's, this book, You Are Not the Target, was explaining, well, very often these people make these comments to you, but it wasn't really you they're aiming at. They've had something dumped on them, and subconsciously they take it out on somebody else. It's the reverse of, which is a much more positive thing, that business of smile. Smile a while, and while you smile, another smiles, and soon there's miles and miles of smiles, and life's worthwhile because you smiled. And it's that thing about you smile at somebody, a complete stranger, and they may look at you funny, or they may smile back, but you can bet your bottom dollar that it's a compliment to them. You know, oh, he smiled at me. You're not leering, just so you make sure you know the difference. Not a leer. Anyway, I should look interesting to see what that's all about. I don't know whether, you know, I've no idea. So that was that. Somebody, and I didn't order this, sent me, and this is what I like. People are so generous. And I will read these books. I mean, it just takes me a time because at the moment it's even more time, but I love books, and sometimes I, you know, get into a funk when I've got too many books to read and I can't read them all, but I do try. This one is called I Am That. Talks with, now I'm not going to pronounce this correct. It's SRI, Sri Nisi Gadata Maharaj. I'm sure I've mispronounced that. It's the real does not die. The unreal never lived. Once you know that death never happens to the body and not to you, you just watch your body fall off like a discarded garment. The real you is timeless and beyond birth and death. The body will survive as long as it is needed. It is not important that it should live long. So it's interesting. I like that because I'm very much into the moment. So I'm just going to open this at random now because I haven't had a chance to look at it at all. Questioner. This is what comes and goes has no being, it says. Questioner. I have come to be with you rather than to listen. Little can be said in words, much more can be conveyed in silence. And then Maharaj says, first words, then silence. One must be ripe for silence. Can I live in silence? The questioner asks. Unselfish work leads to silence. For when you work selflessly, you don't need to ask for help. Indifferent to results, you are willing to work with the most inadequate means. You do not care to be much gifted and well equipped, nor do you ask for recognition and assistance. You just do what needs to be done, leaving success and failure to the unknown. For everything is caused by innumerable factors, of which your personal endeavour is but one. Yet such is the magic of man's mind and heart that the most improbable happens when human will and love pull together. Anyway, I don't know whether it's just a complete series of questions and answers. It does seem to be. Life is love and love is life. Is the practice of yoga always conscious, or can it be unconscious, below the threshold of awareness? These are the sort of questions. Excuse me. Difficult to talk with a pipe in your mouth and read without a little bit of smoke going up the old spout. And we don't want that, do we? There we go. I'm loving this tobacco. It's really nice. It's just it's an all-dayer. I mean, I can tell that there's a top to it, or a whatever the one is that they shove in earlier on, but I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now, this one is from a chap called Alan Watson, who sent it to me. He wrote it, obviously, but he's obviously watched, I don't know which channel, whether he watches this channel or not. Put a little note in there. And he says, "Hi, Richard. I hope you enjoy the book. I've left a bookmark in my favourite chapter for you to take a quick look. All the best, Alan." And it's called Earth, Water and Leaf, Whispers of Life. I'll show you the cover. Isn't that nice? And it says on the back here, Earth, Water and Leaf, Whispers of Life, is discover a path to health that honours the intelligence of the body, the wisdom of the seasons, the subtle energies of the natural world. Earth, Water and Leaf, Whispers of a Life, invites you to reconnect with the living terrain of your own body and the plants, stones and waters that surround you. So this is going to be about terrain theory, which is the theory that the body doesn't really get ill in the same way that you think of it, like with viruses and things, but actually it's detoxing, it's coming out. It says here, rooted in terrain theory, this book reframes illness as a signal of imbalance rather than an invasion, guiding readers to nurture vitality through observation, nourishment and resonance. Across 18 chapters and a final reflective chapter, you will learn, and then there's a whole load of things that you're going to learn, and I'll leave them for the moment. And so he said in his favourite chapter, so he's left this bit in. And this is chapter 16, Sacred Brews and Fermented Foods. Across the ages, humans have sought to capture the spirit of life in drink, from the honey wine of ancient feasts to the bubbling crocks of village kitchens. Fermentation has always been more than preservation. It has been a sacred act of transformation. To ferment is to invite wilderness, to let unseen companions, yeasts, bacteria and subtle energies weave with water, plant and mineral until something altogether new is born. Now that sounds absolutely fantastic. I've heard about all these fermentation drinks and things that you can do, and this is something that Julia and I want to do on our farm. I mean, I like the idea of this sort of transformation, the alchemy. When you light a pipe, for example, you've got tobacco that's gone through sort of transformation from the original leaves, and they've been dried and various processes have been done to them. And then they're ready to be put into a briar pipe or a meerschaum pipe or a clay pipe or various other types of pipes. And then with the addition of fire, you set fire to that and you puff the smoke. Some people take it down, I don't take it down, but you let it savour. It's like sipping a fine wine or a lovely malt whiskey, whatever it is. And a transformation happens because what's in the tobacco, which now, thanks to YouTube's changing of things, we're not allowed to talk about, but the thing that's in tobacco that they say will get you hooked is going into the body and is doing a transformation to you. Favourable in my opinion, but other people may disagree. The living alchemy of fermentation. Fermentation is not a dead science, but a living relationship. Each vessel becomes a tiny cosmos, bubbles rising, warmth spreading, fragrances shifting. The invisible is made visible. Just as soil turns leaf into humans, so does fermentation turn sweetness into depth, stillness into sparkle, and simplicity into complexity. So anyway, we'll and I'll just read this bit. When we ferment, we allow nature to breathe through us. We listen to the rhythms of warmth and time. We offer ingredients in trust, and we receive back something that nourishes the body and spirit alike. These are not drinks of intoxication, but sacred brews of vitality, low in alcohol, high in resonance, and made to awaken rather than dull. So thank you very much, Alan, for sending that. I hope you do watch this. It would be great. Let's hope that that is happening with the old pipe. I feel the pipe does awaken something in us. It slows us down. It enables us to cogitate. I love smoking the pipe when reading, when writing, and purely in silence, cogitating, meditating, thinking, basically. I enjoy that. And I hope that this madness of what's going on at the moment in my life, the rushing to the land and setting things up, will calm soon. So that there in nature I can ferment as I smoke my pipe and digest these wonderful books that have little parcels of goodness in them for me and perhaps others. I'm just looking to see how long we've been talking. So I just thought I'd share that with you because I haven't had a chance to have a look myself. I hope you're doing well. I hope all is good in your world. And I shall leave you now, for the fire is on in the other room. I've only just lit it, and if I don't attend to it soon, it'll go out. And the lovely Julia is popping round for a meal. And it's supposed to be a hot meal, not a cold one. So there we are. Anyway, until next week, thank you for tuning in. I hope you've had a nice smoke with me. And I hope that some of these books have been interesting. Perhaps you have some books of wisdom that you follow, that guide you, that help you, that you would like to share with others in the comments. And well, there we are. That's it. Thank you so much. Until next time, goodbye. Which one to read first? That's the question.